Yo, Mary, are you sure you're washing these sheets properly? They smell just like you, said my ex Phil as he sprawled on the bed. If we had lived together, this surreal situation could have happened every day. Eck, just thinking about it gives me the creeps. This is the story of how avoiding living together became the turning point in my life. My name is Mary. I'm 60 years old and divorced. No matter what others say, I think 60 is just the beginning. I even taught myself computer skills by reading books, and I want to remain a spirited woman who never says I'm too old for this. Think young folks can outdo me. No way, I'm still young myself, or so I like to say. However, even I have faced some tough times. It all happened when we paid off our mortgage. That was more than 10 years ago. My ex-husband, Tom, and I bought our house together in our 20s, and we were finally close to paying it off. Then Tom said, "What do you think about living together?" "What do you mean by that?" "You know, I want to live with my parents. I've always said it would be tough." "Why's that?" "Because, well, your mom doesn't really like me. Living together would be hard for both of us. It's better the way things are now. You never know until you try. Living together is try it and you're stuck. You can't just stop once you start. You always avoid challenges." Challenges? What? Did he have a motivational song playing in his head? After we got married, Tom would bring up the idea of living with his parents every chance he got. Before we got married, he was firmly against living together. That's why I felt reassured. But after we married, he gradually changed his mind to living together is good. What a con artist. I later found out that my mill had been emotionally blackmailing him, saying things like, "Aren't you worried about us being alone in our old age?" At some point, Tom developed a strange sense of duty, thinking living together is a son's responsibility. It's being a good son. I wanted him to think, refusing to live together is also my duty as a husband. I get it, parents are important, but I told him I didn't get along with my mill. As my frustration simmered, our relationship worsened. But Tom didn't care. As we got closer to paying off the mortgage, his demands for living together escalated, inversely proportional to the decreasing loan balance. I used to brush off his talks, but the alarm bells were ringing. I started feeling a real sense of crisis. Then one day, the doorbell rang, so I went to the door and was shocked when I opened it. "We're here." There stood my in-laws, grinning ear to ear. Sunday morning, 7 a.m. With the sunlight behind them, my in-laws looked almost angelic. How divine. Of course not. As I stood there dumbfounded by their sudden arrival, Tom came up behind me, greeting them with "Welcome back," and ushering them inside. Huh. Welcome back. Welcome back. Isn't it supposed to be welcome when greeting guests? Then, Tom's familiar voice echoed in my head. "Hey, about living with my parents." No. Still confused, I followed my in-laws and Tom as they walked into my house like they owned the place. Then I noticed my mill scrutinizing the china cabinet. I couldn't help but ask, "What are you doing?" "Oh, it's pretty scratched up. Too good to replace." "Mary, are you careless? Take better care from now on." "What? I bought this." I peered closely at the spot she was staring at but saw no scratches. Do the wood grains look like scratches to her old eyes? I mean, I have old eyes too, but I don't see any scratches. My mill has always had a habit of picking nonsensical fights with me like this. I still can't understand why she can't accept the woman who married her precious son, but I brushed it off as her usual nonsense. Then I realized my Phil was nowhere to be seen. At the same time, I heard noise coming from upstairs. With a sinking feeling, I went upstairs and found my Phil was sprawled out, not on my husband's bed, but on mine. And he was lying face down. I screamed, "Yo, Mary, are you sure you're washing these sheets properly? They smell just like you." No. This is unbearable. Please stop doing that." I blurted out in a harsh tone, with no attempt to sugarcoat my words. "What? You're being cheeky for a DIL. DIL or not, why are you sniffing my bed?" "I'm just checking if you're washing them properly." "There's no need for that." "There is. It's a necessary check since we'll be living here." "Wait, what are you talking about? I can't believe I have to live with such an insolent DIL. Live together." I was stunned by my FIL's unexpected words when Tom and Mill appeared behind me. Thought I heard a commotion up here, Tom said. Hey. Your dad said we're moving in together. What's going on? It means exactly what it sounds like. What exactly? We finished paying off the mortgage this month, right? Yay. So, I decided to live here with my parents. What? How could you decide that on your own? I've been asking you about living together, haven't I? And I always said no. I can't live with someone who sniffs my sheets. Did you say that? This man. I couldn't help but clench my fists tightly. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. Now that the loan is paid off, you're useless, my Mill said with a smile. What? I replied. That's right, you're useless. Get out, my Phil said, making a showing motion with his hand and smirking at me. I see now. To my in-laws, I was never a DIL but just a wallet to pay off the mortgage. They didn't trust Tom's earnings alone, and it made sense to have two incomes to pay off the new house faster. My Mill endured our marriage and constantly pushed for living together, planning to do this all along. Once the loan was paid off, she could live with her precious son again. In her ideal future, if I stayed, I'd be their servant, and if I left, they'd be fine without me. Yak. The more everything added up, the angrier I got. Sure, I was naive and didn't act sooner. But this house was also mine, and I didn't deserve to be treated this way. But wait a minute. A light bulb went off in my head. Remembering something important, my heart lifted from despair and anger. All right, fine, I said. My husband was the most surprised by my calm response. He probably never thought I'd leave so easily. Maybe he expected me to beg and cry. He kept asking me to reconsider until the last moment, but I ignored him and we got divorced. A month passed. After losing my home, I enjoyed my freedom, living in a hotel, when I got a call from my ex-Mill. She wanted to meet me urgently. I could have ignored her, but I had a hunch, so I agreed to meet her with a bit of excitement. At the cafe, I found my ex-in-laws looking dejected. As soon as she saw me, my ex-Mill, with teary eyes, said, "Mary, you came. What do you want with your ex-DIL?" I asked. "Yesterday, we received a notice about the property division from you." "Of course. We're divorced. Did you think I wouldn't do anything?" "Well, maybe a little, but the circumstances have changed." Changed. Tom, who had been hanging his head, looked even more deflated. Tom's company went bankrupt, though. I knew it was only a matter of time. I clapped my hands and laughed. "What do you mean, only a matter of time?" For the past few years, his earnings kept dropping. Last month, his paycheck was late. Those are signs the company is going under. Really? Why didn't you tell me, Tom? My Mill demanded, glaring at her precious son. Tom shrank back, squeaking. "I didn't think it would go bankrupt. Normally, you'd notice." "You're just an idiot," I retorted sharply, shocking Tom. "And you didn't all gather here just to say Tom's unemployed so we can't divide the assets, did you?" "Why are you here?" I asked them all. Everyone fell silent for a moment. "Actually," Tom began, "the house burned down." "What? The house? I got that. How? It was Dad's fault with a cigarette." Hahaga. Living with your parents really backfired on you. I couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. I had imagined Tom would end up unemployed. When we divorced, I thought, I don't want to support such a selfish, jobless husband, and if I lived with his retired parents, it'd be a burden. They might even make me their caregiver. So, the divorce seemed like a good deal for me. But for my ex-Phil to burn down the house too. This was too much. It might be fun to share that little detail. I felt a mischievous spark from my childhood awaken in me. Sorry for laughing. But really, that's tough. My parents sold their house, so they have nowhere to live, and we don't know where to start. You're literally homeless and jobless now. Stop saying it like that. I'm also living in a hotel now, so we're both without a fixed address. But I just bought a new place, so that'll change soon. What? Everyone perked up when I mentioned buying a house. Hehehe, perfect. Keep taking the bait. You know that new high-rise condo near the station? I'm moving in there soon. A high-rise condo. Their eyes lit up instantly. High-rise condos are so desirable, I guess. I didn't choose it because I wanted one. I just wanted secure living as an older single woman post-divorce. I wasn't interested in the view, and I picked a lower floor to avoid the stress of waiting for the elevator. We want to live there too. Mary, let us live with you. Please, let's put the past behind us. Though, yes, that's a great idea. Mary, please. As expected, my ex-in-laws shamelessly asked to move in with me. They've got some nerve. Would my Phil burn down the condo too? I'd love to help, but I'm just a wallet to you all. Remember, I was only good for paying off the mortgage. When I said this sarcastically, my ex-in-laws quickly started praising me. Mary, we've always admired your housekeeping skills. You brighten up the house. You're so considerate and beautiful. Our son, on the other hand, is spoiled and now unemployed. He's hopeless. Their precious son looked at them in disbelief. No matter how much they love him, without the means to support them, he's useless to them. What terrible parents. Well, living with all of you doesn't sound too bad. Really, they all looked surprised. It'd be lively. Mary, what do you mean? Tom asked. Just what I said. Their faces brightened up at my smile. But, it's awkward to live with my ex-husband again. I said, and my Mill replied, if that's the problem, then don't worry about that. Tom doesn't need to live with you, Mary. What? Tom was shocked by my ex-Mill's cheerful declaration. Even my ex-Phil chimed in. That's right, Tom. You can live somewhere else. We'll stay with Mary. Wait, Dad, Mom, why just me? Because we have our pension and can pay Mary for food, but you can't contribute anything. I almost said, you want to move into my condo and only pay for food. But I kept quiet and watched the family fallout I had planned. Go ahead, you fools. Dance in the palm of my hand. Then why don't you guys with the pension rent a place? Tom counted. We can't waste money on that when you're unemployed. What if something happens to us in our old age? Old age. You're already old. You're just a bunch of geezers. How rude. We're still young. If you're young, then get a job and save for the future. I can't even get a job interview without being able to take a bath. Go wash in the river. You only think of yourself. What? You've got a lot of nerve, you old arsonist. Who are you calling useless, you unemployed bum? We don't need you. We're cutting ties. Fine. You're terrible parents. My ex-Mill tried to calm things down. Are you serious? But Tom's words had struck a nerve with my ex-Phil, who wouldn't back down. Instead, he turned to me and said, looks like we'll have more space. My ex-Phil was clearly determined to move in with me. Are you misunderstanding something? What? They all looked shocked at my smiling face. The apartment size isn't changing. I have no intention of living with you. What do you mean, Mary? Asked Tom. I just said it'd be lively with more people. I never said we'd live together. My ex-Mill raised her voice. It sounded like you were saying that. I'm glad to see you ditch Tom to live in my condo. Tom, you always wanted to live with your parents, right? Haven't you realized how crazy your idea was? You didn't wake up even after they burned down the house. Tom glared at his parents as I raised my voice. That's true. I thought I should treat them well, but they didn't even love me. Wait, Tom. My in-laws turned pale. Tom, I was wrong. We'll cancel the disownment. Dad, you just want to rely on me again because you can't live with Mary, right? And no, that's not it. Really. You don't look very convincing. I smiled as my ex-Phil flistered. Watching this, Tom's anger started to show as a vein throbbed on his forehead. I don't want parents like you either. Disown me for all I care. Tom shouted in anger, and my in-laws, panicking, pleaded, please listen, but he wouldn't hear it. Instead, Tom turned to me and said, thank you, Mary, I want to start over with you. Seriously? I mean it. You did all this to wake me up, right? Haga. Don't kid yourself. I just thought it'd be amusing to see you fight with your parents after abandoning me. What? I only thought it would be funny if the guy who ditched his wife to buddy up with his parents ended up fighting with them. What? I'm only here to receive my share of the assets. Assets? You're still going after that even with me in this situation. This situation? That's not my problem. Of course I am. I signed the divorce papers quickly because I wanted to leave, but I can still claim my share afterward. I'm going to get what's mine. Wait, what? You don't really love me. How could I love a homeless, jobless guy? There's nothing appealing about you. You're delusional. No way. Unable to get back together with me, Tom snapped and started blaming his parents, shouting, "It's all your fault. I left before the police arrived." After that, as promised, I got my share of the assets, which wasn't much, but I finally cut ties with Tom. Homeless, jobless Tom had his savings drained by the asset division, and without his parents' support, he struggled. He took on odd jobs, stayed in cheap motels, and sometimes slept in parks. He couldn't find a stable job at his age and lived like a drifter. His parents, on the other hand, didn't try to reconcile. They figured they could manage on their pension and basically abandoned him. Even after all these years, they only cared about themselves. As for me, I'd been investing even before the divorce, so I'm still living comfortably. I recently started attending a local programming class to master computer skills. None of the students are my age, most are kids. It's fun, like having lots of grandchildren. I wasn't blessed with my own children, but in this way, I feel blessed with kids, and it warms my heart. One student, Emma, is a little girl who wants to learn knitting, so I teach her during breaks. Other kids join in, and it's a heartwarming sight. Despite everything, life goes on. I'm looking forward to continuing my own fun-filled journey.